He reigns, he reigns, he reigns. Power of his love, he reigns, he reigns, he reigns.
Welcome to the Power of Love with Leslie Sharon Kiwobo. Leslie is a woman of big faith, believing deeply that with God at her right hand, all things are possible. And for you too. Join us as we talk about the ways we can live a life that is pleasing to God, while raising awareness on topics ranging from the foundations of a relationship with God to self-love, marriage, motherhood, and so much more. We are so glad you're here to join in on the conversation. Here's your host, author, speaker, and believer, Leslie Sharon Kiwobo.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the podcast of the Power of Love. This is your sister Leslie, and we are live. Today, we will be talking about knowing your own value. In other words, knowing your worth. Knowing your worth starts off with confidence and self-esteem. The definition of self-esteem indicates having confidence in your own worth or abilities. As Christians, self-esteem is defined as having confidence that you are who God says you are, meaning that things not depend of your own abilities, but knowing that God will equip you for the work He has set out for you to do. I have actually been struggling with confidence and self-esteem myself. It started all out at primary school. So I was quite taller than the other students, and they gave me the nickname High Tower. So as soon as I would enter the school, there were already children around always screaming, High Tower, High Tower, High Tower, how's the weather up there? And in the beginning it was funny. I could laugh a little bit about it, but then it became a habit, and I really started questioning myself, my appearance, and I didn't feel that I had a place or that somebody was seeing me for who I really was. So I started changing my appearance. I started wearing baggy clothes, wearing those long coats with the fur cap, the whole wannabe gangster lady vibe. So I really became a tomboy. I didn't fit in with the girls, so I started hanging out with the boys. So I was always on the playground, playing football with them, basketball, and fighting all around. And often of the times, I would come home with a lot of bruises, and my parents would be so angry at me. Most of the time, I try to hide them, but in certain incidents, when a teacher saw what happened or the secretary knew what happened, she would contact my parents to tell me, and this and that had been going on. So I would come home trying to hide all the bruises to make sure that they weren't visible, but they already knew, this girl has been in some trouble, fighting around and doing all sorts of foolish things, and I would get it, if I can say it that way. Well, eventually I grew out of that, but I was still carrying that baggage with me. In high school, the confidence just really spiraled because most of my friends, most of the students were now entering in their puberty. They were getting more voluptuous, more feminine, and I had nothing going on at the time. So I was very tall and very flat. A lot of students start calling me pancake, and they even just thought that I was a boy because I was walking around and dressed more as a boy than as a girl. So I really felt lonely and I really felt uncomfortable because a lot of people were bullying me, and I really didn't feel I had any place, whether it was inside of school and outside of school. So I started changing schools for quite a while. I never could stay more than a year in a school. So this has been going on for, I think, like 3 years or so until I found a school where I actually really was embraced for who I was and People started integrating me in the community and everything was totally different. But yeah, at that instant, it wasn't like that. And the bullying just really wasn't helping. And this lack of confidence created for me a commitment issue. To make a long story short, whatever I tried, I always felt I wasn't good enough. And if you are listening right now, let me tell you this, it's a lie. Don't let the enemy tell you any different. Don't let those inner voices try to make you think that you aren't good enough, because you are. It's all a lie. You are more than enough. And don't let those lies take control over your life. Let me give you a few verses to accentuate what I mean. One of my favorite verses is in the book of Joshua, which is in the chapter 1, verse 9. And there it is said, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." It is easy getting yourself out of the equation, hide yourself, or bring attention to yourself when you don't feel good enough. But as is said in that verse, God commands us to be strong and courageous. Another word for courageous is also boldness, which means willing to take a risk. Boldness is sometimes required to achieve something, to overcome challenges. You sometimes, nothing in this world will be handed to you on a golden platter. So it really requires sacrifice, commitment, obedience, discipline, and so on. But within all of that, it is also required to be bold. That's why I really like this verse. Because here, God not only says, because we can, but rather because God will be with us wherever we go. So we can live in confidence because of God's strength. And that's just wonderful to me. When I first started studying the Bible, I really didn't understand anything about it. I just understand the principles as I was taught in school. And I remember that I wanted to read the Bible again when God started speaking more to me and I was really more perceiving his voice. And he sent me to the book of Joshua, and it was to that specific verse and chapter. And I always remembered this, that whatever I might go through, whatever the challenges are that are coming through my way, I am not scared because I know that God is with me, and I know that one way or another I will overcome those. So for me, this is one of the main verses that I kind of remind myself to God's strengths. That strengthens also my faith, and I really love it. A second verse I'd like to share is Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 7, which says, "But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him." Again, we are reminded that we shouldn't worry about our weaknesses. We can be the best we are and give the best of ourselves, trusting that God will work through that. The last one I will share for now is Psalm 139, verse 13 and 14. "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full and well." God created you the way that you are on purpose. Your existence is not a mistake. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You are wonderfully made by God, who does everything on purpose. It's not always for us to understand, but we can be assured that God doesn't fail and certainly doesn't make mistakes. This really should be your source of power to walk in confidence. Confidence in the Lord. Did you know that confidence brings peace? Confidence is not only about boldness, in a way, it brings peace and calm into your life. The few verses I mentioned reinforce that we can have confidence because God is enough, and in Him we are enough. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, you are enough. This was the first part of Knowing Your Worth. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please show me some love on social media or by subscribing on the podcast. I will be back next week with part 2. Thank you and blessings. Sending you all lots of love. Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Power of Love with Leslie Sharon Kiwobo. We are so glad you've joined us. Connect deeper with Leslie. You can find her on Facebook by searching Leslie Sharon Kiwobo or at www.lesliesharonkiwobo.com. Her new book, My Declaration of Love, is available now. It is intended to encourage you and to stir a burning desire within your heart to seek God, to trust God, and let Him take care of you. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so we can reach more people and so you'll never miss an episode. Until next time, we are with you in your continued pursuit for freedom with God.